running down the half mark. He reels it in at the 15. Cooper Kupp has the catch.
The greatest D tackle ever right here.
It's good. Mike Williams with the grab.
Feeling fresh as hell.
Chargers lead 29-28. The Trojans have won the Rose Bowl.
There he goes. Kashmir Allen, 2 long receiving touchdowns, and now a kick return touchdown. This day belongs to Kaz.
You're listening to the LA Football Podcast.
What's up, LA Football Network? This is Will Decker, one of your hosts. Ryan Anderson on the other mic. We got a very special guest in the house, Mr. Lights Out himself, Mr. Shawne Merriman. How are we doing today, my man?
Doing well, man. Just taking in my 40th radio road that I've been to at this point. But it's cool to be here because it's not too often that you get a lot of the guys under the same roof. And you see some of the guys you played against. Like I saw Jerome Bettis. I haven't seen him in a couple years.
Yeah,
Yes, he was over there early. I came and talked to him. I don't have fond memories of him, but he's my guy, and just seeing everybody here, man, it's been cool.
Yeah, man. We saw Jerome at Jay Glazer's last night, so it was good to see the bus in the house. We want to talk about the Chargers. We want to talk about this Lights Out Extreme Fighting organization that you've started. But I got to start at the beginning, man. What made you fall in love with football in the first place when you grew up in Maryland?
I started training after my first year, and between the first and second year. And when I got into the NFL, I wasn't really that great with my hands. And Jay Glazer actually was the one, him and Randy Couture started my first day MMA training with those guys, and I fell in love with the sport. I got better with my hands. I started training every single offseason with some of the biggest and best fighters in the world. And 2018, I launched Lights Out Extreme Fighting now on Fubo TV, Fubo Sports. So if you guys don't have Fubo out there, get it. We got a big fight coming up in L.A., April 8th. That'll be live on Fubo, and I'll be announcing everything on lightsoutxf.com next week.
Awesome. Who are some of the fighters that you watched and liked to emulate? Or, I know you did some sparring with, like, Tito Ortiz. Stuff like that. Who are some of the fighters you love to watch and you're in front of the TV for every time they get in the ring?
Those guys, him, Chuck Liddell, George St. Pierre, Randy Couture. I actually was starting when Tyron Woodley was very first starting out. I was training with him when he very first got into the UFC. And so I've been around the sport for a long time, and I'm fortunate because I made that transition. It was easy for me. It was something I was already passionate in.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, and you Chargers, a big offseason. Kellen Moore now in there. What do you think they need to do with the draft? I mean, they got to get some new guys in there, maybe some fast receivers. Do you have any thoughts on what the Chargers should do in the offseason?
I think they made the best move already and bringing Kellen Moore in. Anytime you got a high-powered offense like they do, and Justin Herbert, we all see what he can do when he's playing well. But I think what held them back last year is not being able to get the ball down the field. When you got an explosive offense like that, you got to open it up, man. It's like you got a Ferrari and you're driving it like a Chevy,
Absolutely.
And so that's what was going on. And I think that Kellen Moore is a big addition to the offense.
Absolutely.
What do you think of their offensive line? Obviously, you know a thing or two about some offensive linemen.
Yeah.
What do you think? How do you think they're doing on that side?
I'll tell you, man. Rashawn Slater is one of my favorite players to watch.
He's so good. Yeah.
I played against some absolute dogs in my day, and some of the best to do it. And I think when it's all said and done, he's going to end up in that spot. Just one of the best offensive tackles in the game.
What makes an offensive tackle hard to go against?
Well, it's always a combination, right? Because if you go against guys that are big and stuff and they're slow, those are no problem, right? You just know they're strong. You don't want them to get their hands on you. And then again, you have the guys that are smaller and more athletic, but they can't stop a pass rush, right? They're not strong enough. The difficult ones is the ones who move like a smaller guy and has the strength of a bigger guy. That's the Rashawn Slaters of the world. Those are guys you don't want to deal with. So I think when it's all said and done, if he can, I know he got hurt this year, but it wasn't a lower body extremity or anything like that. It was his tricep or bicep one. And if he comes back healthy, he'll go down as one of the best to do it.
That's amazing. Can we go back onto the defensive side of the ball? Brandon Staley is marked as one of the geniuses of the defense. He's in that Fangio system. Defenses have changed, and they kind of caught up with those deep throwing offenses. And I just wanted to get your take on how is Brandon Staley doing, but also how has the linebacker position changed since when you played?
Well, it's changed a lot because you can't hit anybody now. But I think the biggest thing is they throw the ball so much. Back when I came in, I was playing at 265, 270, right? And that style of games changed because they were running the ball so much. You had to be strong enough and big enough to stop the run. And now the league is so pass happy that now they got to get the smaller guys who can do both and play all three downs too, and be able to rush the passer as well.
And how do you think Brandon Staley is doing so far with the defense?
I love it, man. I'm really I got a good relationship with him. I like his mindset. I think he's a great leader. And he's a first-time head coach, man. People got to understand that when you're a first-time head coach, every decision you make is not going to be great. But for them to get into the playoffs this year with all the injuries they had, people don't give him enough credit for that because the probability of you having that many injuries and still getting to the playoffs is slim to none. And you would hope that it ended better, not leaving the first round in the playoffs, but for them to get there in the first place was just nothing slight of a miracle.
Absolutely.
You're one of the best pass rushers of your era. Give me your synopsis on Khalil Mack, monster, beast coming into the run, as well as Joey Bosa.
Yeah.
I mean, two of the best pass rushers in the league today.
Yeah, it's funny because I went out during the training camp before the season started, and they asked me to come out and coach the outside linebackers. Now, you don't need to coach up Khalil Mack and Joey Bosa too much. Those guys are already great. So I was out there working a lot with the younger guys. So I got a chance to see Khalil Mack up close, and I'm a technician, man. I'm looking at everything, and he does some things that I haven't seen very many guys do. And he was just coming off a foot injury, and I'm watching him pass rush and some of his hand placement and some of the things he does, his long arm stabs, his double swipes and things like that, and the way his movements are. He's having a very fluent motion in being able to pass rush and being able to use his hands. And I saw up front, outside of the game, but I saw him up close on why he's such a great pass rusher.
Yeah, and the last thing we got for you, man, Lights Out Extreme Fighting. What are some good fights we got coming up for the league, man? I'm excited to watch. It's got a Fubo TV, is that correct?
Yeah, Fubo Sports, Fubo TV. That last fight, we just cracked into the top 10 most watched program on Fubo Sports. So that was cool. We got a big fight coming up in Burbank, California.
Nice.
That's my backyard.
I'm going to be announcing the card next week or so. But we'll probably have 14 fights, man. We got some young, up-and-coming, hungry fighters that's looking for a shot, and I know they're going to throw down.
And where can we get tickets if we want to go?
You can go to lightsoutxf.com. I'll probably put the tickets on sale in the next few weeks or so. And I can't wait for that, man, because we after our last fight and the viewership numbers came out, I had all these the fighters in my DMs now, and we're trying to get on the card, so we're trying to get the matchup. And I started to see them talk trash to each other, and I'm like, okay, if they're talking trash, let me see if I can make this happen. And so that's always been a fun deal.
Well, Shawne Merriman, thank you so much for coming on. Go Chargers, man, and go Lights Out Extreme Fighting.
Thanks, guys. Thanks for having me.
Thank you.